I'm John Calamar. I'm the village clerk for the village of Vernon Hills. I'd like to call this meeting to order, being the meeting of September 9th, 2014. I need a roll call, please.
President Byrne, Trustees Cook,
Here?
Schwartz,
Here.
Williams, Hebda,
Here. Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Markwart.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. I need a...
Mr. Clerk, I would like to make a motion to present Trustee Cook as the President Pro Tem for the course of this meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustees Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
I stay there. Don't sit down.
All right. We have a quorum present. Would everyone please stand for the pledge?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. No, I said it anyway. Okay.
Hang on a second.
Mine's all. I guess it's
Yeah.
If you wanted.
Red pen.
Let's get this over with.
Red pen. You want to use mine?
No, I just got to open the right file. That's all.
Come on, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, come on. Citizens wishing to address is next.
Yeah, I know. Hang on a second.
Got that one.
Got that one.
I'm looking at the wrong account. Hang on. Next item on the agenda is citizens wishing to address the board. Is there anybody here that wishes to address the board about something that's not on the agenda or the committee of the whole?
I'm on the agenda.
You're on the agenda, okay. We'll get to that when we get there. One of the things I was going to mention, doing the pledge, day before yesterday was the 122nd anniversary of the pledge, but what's more important is this Sunday is the 200th anniversary of the Star Spangled Banner. So this weekend or that, if you're at any kind of a athletic event or something like that, remember that we're celebrating 200 years since he originally wrote that poem called The Defense of Fort McHenry. So it's the 200th, which is a biggie.
It's our history teacher here, really is. He was there.
No, I was in Philadelphia at the time. Yeah, I was still in Philadelphia at the time. I didn't get down to Fort McHenry till later, so. I will find it later. What do you got? Okay, official reports. Our next village board meeting will be 2 weeks from tonight on September 23rd. That's a little bit different than our normal schedule. We were off a week this September.
Right.
Okay, so next one is the 23rd. Assistant Village Manager on Oktoberfest.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The 10th Annual Oktoberfest will take place at the Vernon Hills Metro Station on Saturday, September 27th from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. There are 3 bands this year, Joey Cash and the Braun Brothers, Get Back, and According to Kate. In addition to music, food, and beverages, there will be a number of kid events, including face painting, sponsored by the Mario Tricoci School, inflatables, sponsored by Recorda Hits, pumpkin painting, sponsored by Home Depot, as well as a petting zoo and the ever-popular balloonist. Over 25 gift cards will be raffled away with prizes ranging from Dave & Buster's, Whirly Ball, and Philly G's. The top prize this year will be $300 in cash donated by Ernie's Wrecker Services. The proceeds of the raffle will be distributed to the many community nonprofits serving food at the event. A special thanks to Advanced Disposable for sponsoring the sound, the Vernon Hills Park District for giving out free trees and sponsoring the hayride there, as well as the Village Board for your continued support for the event.
Thank you. Any comments or questions about it?
September 27th.
Yeah, September 27th.
Nice.
Okay, next would be the chief on the Law Enforcement Expo.
Just a quick reminder that this weekend, Saturday, September 13th, and Sunday, September 14th, is the 10th Annual Law Enforcement Exhibition at Hawthorn Mall. As I said, this is the 10th anniversary. It's the 10th year we've been doing this now. This year, we're going to have over 30 police departments. It's the largest turnout we've ever had. There's going to be canine demonstrations on both Saturday and Sunday. I believe there's 3 different times Saturday, 2 different times on Sunday. And Air One is going to be sending several helicopters over, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. They're not going to be giving rides, of course, but they'll be there in the parking lot for the kids to climb in, get their pictures taken. There's going to be lots of displays, lots of handouts, lots of information. This is a great opportunity for people to come to the mall and see all the various police departments from southern Lake County, from all over Lake County. And there's still a couple towns from northern Cook County that are going to be participating this year. So it's getting bigger and bigger every year. We could use a little bit bigger mall space, I think, another addition on the mall to house all the vehicles we put in here. But generally speaking, this is the most well-attended weekend at the mall outside of the weekend of Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
So if the weather holds out, this should be another great opportunity for people to come out, meet the police officers, see the equipment we have, and ask all the questions you've ever wanted to ask.
Nice.
Thanks, Chief.
And there's more information on the website, dates and times of various events.
Skunk.
The skunk update?
You really want to go there?
It's on the agenda.
Absolutely.
I know trustee Schultz is good
I
for
was at
this.
an event Sunday, and I was told, I drove around for an hour and saw 27 skunk, and I went, why are you looking for them?
I knew that as soon as I gave the skunk update 2 weeks ago, that as soon as I said we hadn't received many calls yet, that would change. So certainly we have, residents have been very cooperative in calling in and letting us know where the skunks have been seen. Rick Davies has met with the trapper. Together they drove around through the areas, met with the residents that had called. And I think Rick said that no matter where they stopped, at least 2 or 3 people came up to him and pointed out various skunk locations.
Oh, yeah.
So they identified 4 main areas they were targeting right now. One was Augusta Park, the area around Augusta and Alexandria, Backyard Park, Aspen and Sullivan, Hartman Park near Oakwood, and Abilene Drive. They set up traps in all 4 locations. And over the weekend, they trapped 4 skunks. All of them were at Augusta Park, 1 raccoon and a possum. They moved several of the other traps around, trying to entice skunks to come and visit. And on last night, they only got 4 possums. No more skunks. So they will continue to monitor the situation. They're going to continue to move the traps around a little bit. Also, the trapper we're working with, again, just by way of explanation, we only set up the traps on public property or the right-of-way, public right-of-way, and in cooperation with the Park District, we set them up at the parks. The trapper that we are using has offered a discounted rate to residents that are working with him in eradicating the skunks in their neighborhood. So if anyone needs more information, please feel free to contact the police department. And our CSO, Lonnie Pulowski, has been taking the charge on this and meeting with the residents, providing information. This is the time of year, and the reason the skunks are out so much more prevalently now is that this is the time of the year where the young of the year have grown up, the parents are throwing them out of the house, and the little kids have to go out and fend for themselves.
Yeah.
So they're wandering through the neighborhoods, looking for places to eat, looking for new places to live, and looking for places to winter up. So, the best advice I know that Lonnie is going to offer is to try to, skunk-proof or animal-proof, I should say, anywhere around your house that you can. Around your deck, if they can get underneath the deck, try to put chicken wire there and bury it several inches down so they just can't burrow under it. Sheds is another favorite place. Wood piles is another favorite place. Any place you wouldn't expect them to be, that's where they're going to be. In large hedgerows and things like that. So an ounce of prevention in this case certainly is worth more than a pound of cure.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay, next item is the VHAC to American Hotel Register connection.
Thank you very much. This proposed bike path has been on the board discussions before in terms of capital improvement programs. Ultimately, the option was $76,000, and it would be an asphalt path. The location we're talking about is from the VHAC between the pond and the berm. There's an asphalt path right now. For many of the events, such as our lacrosse event, they use American Hotel Register also. So there's a need for a connection between the two properties. We've talked to American Hotel Register. You may recall that just prior to the last lacrosse event, they were stepping forward and they were going to build a staircase in this location. Well, they got the pricing, and it was larger than what their budget would allow. And I talked to them, and I didn't think that a staircase was really the way to go. So we decided to take a step back and look for other opportunities. Well, we do have such an opportunity. The Springs development that this board approved just south of Walter Smith on Milwaukee Avenue, they're excavating for detention ponds to start their development. So they have excess fill. They need to get rid of it in some way. And we have a short haul opportunity for them. So I've been in contact with American Hotel Register, Bob Baker. We've been discussing back and forth. We just really learned as far as how much they would charge us to really. One thing is trucking the dirt over to this location. The other is to actually put it into the embankment that it will be stable. So we asked them what would be a price for them to have a dozer and a dozer operator that they can work this material in. So they did give us a price. We shared that with American Hotel Register. They're talking today, tonight, trying to figure out how they can help. I think they've been really good to both the high school and the village as far as a corporate customer. Whether or not they should pay the full freight for this improvement, I think the improvement helps certainly the high school, our events, and the village. So in my report, what I've recommended was $5,000, and I wonder if the board would consider a budget of $6,000 to try to work through this. And let me add a few details. So this path, when you leave the VHAC site just north of our 4 baseball fields, the pinwheels, you would cross onto American Hotel Register property. But there's a steep slope there. We have seen before where in muddy conditions people tried to traverse it, and we ended up closing off the fence and said this is something we don't want to see. With this design, instead of the path being on an east-west direction, which is very steep, once it gets onto the American Hotel Register property, it would bend to the north and then work along the embankment to have a gradual slope to get down to grade. So it would be a flat walking surface that bends to the north and then transition, like I said, to grade. So it wouldn't have the steep slopes that are out there today. What we really need to do is do the earthwork, and we need to stabilize it. So we need a little bit of topsoil, some seed blanket, and then someone needs to water it in. I think the high school would be willing to help with the restoration and the watering portion of it, so they're willing to partner in some fashion. And I guess in terms of the overall improvement, this is the opportunity that we have some clay that's available. When they say, you've heard the term dirt cheap, well, dirt is cheap. It's the cost to haul the material back and forth, the trucking costs. So I think we're presented with an opportunity that I would recommend we take advantage of to have that embankment fill brought to the site, placed, work with American Hotel Register in terms of what they can contribute. I think they will contribute some. I can't commit to it, whether they would commit $6,000 or what the dollar amount is, but I think they will partner with us. So my recommendation is that we establish a $6,000 budget. We work with the partners. They would like to start moving the dirt Thursday. well, with the rain, it's probably going to fall into Monday, but they're anxious to get moving on it. So that's more the urgency, why I'm sharing this with the board without all of the facts and all the details, because it is a work in progress. But that's really my request is, would the board consider a $6,000 budget to help support this endeavor?
Trustee Schultz?
I guess this is a question for the attorney. Within the agenda, the amount was $5,000. If we create a motion here, just as a resolution, to allow this budget transfer, so to speak, or establishment of a budget for this, is $6,000 a number we can use? Because apparently the price of dirt did go up from $5,000 to $6,000.
Yes, I think that we can.
Okay.
It's on the agenda. People have notice of the topic. Things change and conditions get added, so that I think that's fine.
Due to the fact that we have an unsafe condition that we've identified previously, and this is a fairly low-cost option, I'll make a motion to direct staff to prepare the necessary budget and/or agreement documents to enter into a contract to rework this area and create a more amenable slope and complete the necessary earthwork.
I strongly second it.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none.
The only comment
Yeah,
that I'll make
good.
is that this will definitely benefit very much, because the high school, the Cougar Youth Program, and lacrosse, which I think will be here for several years to come for us on it, will definitely help with this.
Well, in long term, it's just a good opportunity to take advantage of something that's,
And by the
That's
way,
easy.
I didn't state it, but not to exceed $6,000.
okay.
Understood.
Second agree? Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, Gregg's Landing, St. Andrews Storm Sewer Extension.
More of a point of information to the board and to residents. We're also making other outreaches for affected residents within the St. Andrews area. Specifically, it's the northwest side of the subdivision. There's a curb that has settled out. It settled out in the maintenance period for the developer previously, and we had them at their cost make a repair. We've monitored it over the years, and more recently with the deep frost, it has settled out substantially. It's settled out to the point where the water ponds to an elevation that it has to crest over the top of the crown of the road and find a drainage pattern onto the other side, other half of the road, and run down the curb into the drainage structure. I'm concerned that it's creating a icing condition, so my staff has ordered the materials. We are moving forward with making a storm sewer extension, 2 inlets and a small storm sewer extension, and we're looking to get that work done. We're looking to start the work, well, it was going to be tomorrow. With the impending storm, it'll be shortly after. So we'll notify all the affected residents, but just wanted our board to be aware of it. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Building Commissioner, Police Facility Remodel Update.
Thank you. Just another brief update for the board. We have completed and published the request for proposal for the construction manager. Any contractors that we are aware of that are interested in this project have also been notified. The closing for the request will be September 26th. And also a thank you to Trustee Schultz for helping review the RFP and providing some valuable input. As a reminder of how the process will work, the village is assembling a review committee that will have people from various departments. Once the requests come in, we will review each respondent based on a predetermined criteria and rank them. We'll interview the finalists, and then ultimately we will move forward with a recommendation to the board with who we think is the most qualified and responsible respondent. After that time and after the board authorizes the construction manager and the contract is executed, then the construction manager will familiarize himself with the project and then bid out for subcontractors. At the end of that bidding process, we'll then have a final number and a final budget come back to the board for final approval. We anticipate once we work through all this process, we're into November. So as part of this process, we'll be weighing the option of the increased cost for wintertime construction versus the cost of putting it off to the spring. And so when we come back to you with a final budget number, we'll also come back to you with a recommendation whether or not to start in late fall or to start in the spring. So again, just a quick update on where we're at with that process.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions about that? All right, next item then is omnibus vote agenda. We have items A through M.
Motion to approve A through M.
Second?
Motion is second. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Trustee Schultz?
The K and L, I believe it is. Those are new buying cooperatives. I hadn't heard about those before. I guess I'm just looking for a little bit of information on how that's going to work.
Yes, so two different purchasing consortiums really came out of discussions with the fleet managers group. The other agencies have used both of them. For instance, it's more for fleet maintenance needs, a lot of it. For instance, if we needed a new lift, we've been looking through budgetary numbers, and one of the people that we reached out to said, if you were just part of this consortium, you could save a lot of money on the pieces itself. So we've went through it. We've talked to other municipalities. Bob Kinney's reviewed it also as far as the agreement. It's just another one of the different opportunities that we have with different consortiums in different areas. One of them happens to be in Minnesota. One of them happens to be in Texas, but they do pre-bidding and all the things that consortiums typically do
Now,
for us.
I saw nothing in here that said it's going to cost us anything, so I take it that's true?
That's true. It'll save us money.
Okay, so there's no fee to join?
True.
Okay.
Yeah, the Minnesota was kind of, I've run across that before, but I was kind of surprised to see the Houston-Galveston
Yeah.
connection. That's,
Yeah.
okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
Trustees Hebda? Aye. Schultz?
Aye.
Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
Schwartz?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Unfinished additional business, approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated September 9th, 2014 in the amount of $11,863.98. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Schultz?
Aye.
Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
Schwartz?
Abstain?
Williams?
Aye.
Hebda?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the August 19th, 2014 Village Board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, or corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
Schwartz?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Hebda?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, under unfinished business, approval and passage of ordinance 2014-033, an ordinance adopting a home rule municipal retailers occupation tax and service occupation tax, in other words, a home rule sales tax, amending the code of the ordinances for the Village of Vernon Hills. Comments or questions on that? Anybody on staff want it?
I can take any questions. Basically, the proposal before you this evening is to increase the home rule sales tax by 0.25%. This was presented before the board August 5th and August 19th. We do anticipate this to have a net impact of $0 to the average resident, and this is being done to help fill the gap that will be created by the Westfield incentive agreement, and also allow the village to complete capital projects that we would not otherwise be able to do. The proposal before you must be adopted by October 1st to take effect January 1st, 2015, and staff recommends adopting the resolution as presented.
Motion to approve?
Second?
A motion, a second. Of note to people watching, our plan is to, with any excess funds, to look for ways to benefit residents, and the extra 0.25% still puts us right at virtually at the bottom of the entire area, right, in terms
That's
of
true.
sales tax?
Yes.
A survey of the surrounding 16 communities still puts us at the bottom quarter
Yeah.
after this change.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business and communication. Approval and passage of Resolution 2014-140, a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Village of Vernon Hills and the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council Telecommunicators.
Thank you, Mr. President. As noted in your packet, the village has been working with the telecommunicators on negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement. The agreement, their initial agreement expired May 1st of 2013, and since that time we've been negotiating with them with regards to this agreement. As you'll note in your packet, it is proposed as a 3-year agreement with wage increases of 2.75, 2.75, and 2.5 in the last year of the contract. The agreement also includes some standardized language with regards to their agreement in comparison with the police and sergeant's contract or the current personnel rules that govern all non-bargaining member employees. The union did vote and to ratify the agreement on August 28th, and therefore it's recommended that Resolution 2014-140, which authorizes the execution of this agreement, be approved as presented in your packet. And I can answer any questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions regarding this? It's been an ongoing negotiation, so. All
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second?
right, we have a motion, a second. Any other questions? No? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Approval and passage of ordinance 2014-035, an ordinance consenting to the Village of Volo and the Village of Bannockburn as additional members to the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, SWALCO. Any-
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any comments or questions? No, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval and passage of Resolution 2014-143, a resolution granting approval for Westfield Hawthorn to perform construction work during night hours at 122 Hawthorn Center.
Thank you, Mr. President. The work, as with the past request, would be at the northeast corner of the mall, the theater restaurant area. The roof in this area is in place, however, the walls are not, thus requiring approval from the board to work beyond the permitted hours of construction. The request is for Monday through Friday. Our code would require that they stop construction at 7 p.m. They're requesting a 3-hour extension for that Monday through Friday period, and they would stop work at 11 o'clock. The work will be limited to construction of interior partitions, along with electrical and mechanical installations. And then as a reminder, the mall is approximately 750 feet from Amley Apartments and 650 feet from Saddlebrook. Their last approval, which the board granted in last April, allowed for steel construction that was from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. During that time, we received one call. It was early in the process about loud talking and such, and the workers were supposed to be using cell devices or other devices. Westfield and the contractor were very responsive in following up on it, and that was the only call we received during that whole time. So again, the request is for the hours, the 3-hour extension from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. It would be...
Yeah, 4 hours, 7 to 11.
Got my wife to tell him that.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4 hours, excuse me. It would be Monday through Friday, September 10th to November 1st of this year. And the letter from Westfield making the request is attached to your packet. And we also have a representative of Westfield here if you have any questions about the status of construction, when certain elements will be completed. He is very prepared to answer any of those questions that you might have. And for tonight, if the board feels this request is appropriate, then staff should be directed to prepare a resolution approving the request subject to the conditions outlined in your packet.
Okay. Trustee Williams?
Well, I think that 11 o'clock at night is a little late during the week. Not just a little late, I think it's excessively late.
If I can respond, I'm Ron Melner, by the way, with Westfield. This request is for the fact that we're going to be working inside the building. As Mr. Atkins said, you know, we worked outside the building for all night long there. We really didn't have any complaints. Inside the building, and we are a long ways away. We are almost enclosed on the outside right now. If you've gone past that building now with the drywall up on the outside. Actually, we hope that that's going to be complete in about 2 weeks. So that will be all complete. What we're trying to do is to accelerate a little bit, and the people working inside will primarily be using hand tools and whatever. We're not doing any exterior work, so you're not going to have any lights or any on the exterior. It's just the lights inside the building that we'll be working on.
There are no personnel going to be outside the building?
They're going to be inside. They will be going from the building out possibly to the trailer.
Back and forth,
but
maybe.
To the trailer, but we're not having any truck movements or anything like that. The work is going to be all inside the building.
Interior work is what
we're putting up the partition walls for the theater, et cetera, and some of the mechanical work that goes inside.
When do you expect for the enclosure to be completed?
The enclosure is anticipated to be completed by November. We're anticipating right now, hopefully by the mid-October, we'll have, the roof is almost all complete right now, and I was hoping it would be complete with the storm coming tonight. But, and the exterior we're going to be tightened up. We're not going to have all the ephes on the outside, but all the panels and all the foam and everything will be clear. No one will be able to see in, nor can anybody hear. We won't have the finishes on.
When will that work be completed? At what hours?
That's working during the day.
That's just during the day?
That's during the day. The exterior work is being done during the day.
Okay.
I'm just talking about the interior work.
If it's strictly interior, I don't have a problem
It's
with it.
interior, but the outside wall isn't complete. That's why we're asking your consideration. Okay.
As long as it's inside, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either yet.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Trustee Schultz.
I'd like to amend that motion to add a 10th condition, that is that there's no reportable OSHA accidents. If there's one, then we reserve the right to immediately terminate the overtime work, just because you're now going from a 12-hour day to a 16-hour day with some of your trades potentially. Again, you're probably not managing each individual sub, but I imagine there are some subs that might be trying to really work a lot. So
That is fair. That is fair. However, just so you understand how we are orchestrating it and how we are managing it, we have a separate night superintendent. We are not extending the trades or actually adding a second shift.
which could be in fact some of the first shift employees. I know how that works. So That's why I just add
That's fair.
that last caveat, that if there's an OSHA reportable, that we reserve the right to terminate this overtime activity.
A question regarding that, would that simply be for the nighttime work or any OSHA problems?
Any OSHA, we reserve the right.
I agree, motion agrees with that.
Second, yeah, agree.
Okay, motion and second, agree. Is that what you were going to ask?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Have any names of restaurants you'd care to share with us yet, or?
Additional?
That's our standard question anytime you're here.
I wish I could tell you all the restaurants. I think we are very close on one restaurant right now. And we're working diligently and hopefully can even possibly accelerate our schedule a little bit, and that has to do with why we're going on the second shift and all that will come to a grand opening date that'll be announced at some other time. But we're still looking at spring 15.
Any idea when you might be able to announce names? Because that's one of the questions I get a lot from people on a daily basis.
As soon as we have leases, we will, we'll let the board know who
Okay.
those people are. They will be in here getting building permits also.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One other question. The wayfinding signs throughout the project, do you have a sense of when the new signage is going to go in, or?
The wayfinding signs, I know that Mr. Goodwin has either met with this board or one of the boards here as far as the approval process on that. We have gone over some options right now, and we in fact are meeting and discussing it with John tomorrow on some of those options for the wayfinding. The interior wayfinding, by the way, we're putting all new signs on the interior. That has started, and that should be complete hopefully by the end of this week. And if any of you have an opportunity to visit the mall, the food court is all complete now with all new furniture, new lighting, and everything else. And we welcome you and the rest of the community to share in our new environment.
Thank you. Okay, item D, approval and passage of Resolution 2014-149, a resolution authorizing the village attorney to bid at a sheriff's sale for the property known as 80 Brook Hill, Vernon Hills.
Basically, this is 80 Brook Hill. It's a property that got demolished. The village has a demolition lien. We're foreclosing the lien. The last step in that process is the sheriff's sale. One of two things will happen. Either we're seeking authority for our office to bid the amount of our lien. If someone bids $1 more than our lien, then they will get the property and we will get the lien amount. If nobody outbids the village, then the village will then finish the process of becoming the owner of that lot, and then we would get our money out of the sale of that lot. So this just makes sure that we protect our interests and either end up as the owner or end up with our money.
Okay. Trustee Schultz.
I kind of need a little bit of explanation here. We're already $64,000 out of pocket. Okay, we've paid various contractors to inspect, test, mitigate, demolish, restore that lot to the tune of $64,000. If we bid that amount, are we paying that amount to someone, or exactly what transpires at this sheriff's sales? Because I'm not getting this.
We have already spent that $64,000, and so we're basically saying, we'll take the title to the property
For what we already have.
for what we have into it. So we don't have to put any money in. When we bid the amount of our lien, we're basically saying we have lien amount that's the court has approved. We're going to give you that amount. You're going to give us the property because we've already spent that money.
So basically, all we're going to do is
We're not
retire
putting
the
any money
lien.
in.
Basically, all we're doing is retiring the lien, and that will serve as the payment to the sheriff's office.
Yes.
Okay,
and we'll end up with the property. Now, someone
Okay.
can bid $1 more than us,
right.
and that would be just fine, because then they would be paying the 64,000 plus $1, and we would then get that at the sheriff's sale.
The sheriff would get $1,
And make it,
and
they
we
get the
would
lien.
get,
Right.
okay. Or actually, the sheriff would get the whole amount, would retain $1, and would write us a check?
Right.
they get a percentage.
Now, there was a contractor who may be out there that did have money into the first repair of that house, and he's been involved in the litigation all the way through, so he may want to recoup his money.
Do we
So-
have a fair market valuation of the lot?
We did have that when there was a house on the property. We don't have an appraised amount now. But I think that between what we have and what his lien amount.
But the county provides in their annual report to the homeowner both a structures, a ancillary structures, and a land valuation, which in theory is 1/3 the actual retail market value. So do we know what that?
I can certainly get that to you. I don't have it available tonight.
All right, well then, I'd want to make sure that the current evaluation by the county is in excess of 64,000. So it'd make a contingent on that.
I mean, I guess I would suggest that we would estimate that the lot value is in excess of $100,000.
So would I,
So-
but I'd like confirmation of that. I don't know why, but
I mean,
Sheriff's sale, though, are we running out of time?
it's coming up in 2 weeks.
Personally, what you're gonna be looking at, even if it were below, if you have 64,000 sold and it's for 30 whatever, we're gonna recoup on our money. Either we flush it or we recoup some of it. So technically, the value of the property is not gonna be the factor in this.
Well, except that we have a $64,000 lien, and let's assume that the fair market value is $50,000. We bid our $64,000, we get title to the property. We go to sell it, we will only recoup 50 of the 64, but if we don't bid, we get nothing
That's-
towards our 64. So theoretically, we could take a loss, but it won't be as big a loss as if we don't bid at all.
Well, in addition, when we turn around and sell, we don't necessarily have to take we can bid it out.
Sure, we can do whatever we want at that point.
So, personally, I would say strike it because it won't make a difference of it.
fine,
Okay,
I concur.
I'll make a
right.
motion.
Motion, is there a second? All right, motion is second. Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none then, roll call, please.
Trustee Schultz,
Aye,
Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Any other new business or communication? Trustee Schultz.
It's come to my attention that I was called out by one of the your park district president. I really don't want to get a bucket of ice and water dumped on my head, but I have written a check, and in fact, Jeff, I'll let you either put it in the mail or give it to Jim Ballou, your president. There is a form in there which trebles the amount based on my past employer who I retired from. So good luck, and I am not dumping water on my head.
I thought we were going to do it as a group.
Well, we're still going to try and figure out a time to do it as a group, yes.
Knock your socks
Yes.
off, folks.
Yes.
I've written my check.
Okay. Trustee
I plan on
Hebda.
doing both.
The thing is, I'd rather do both.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go, that
The
works.
possibility.
That's a good
My
possibility.
lederhosen.
Yeah, with an ice cold bucket of water, we can get the cherry picker to dump it.
Trustee Hebda?
Um,
My 2-year-old
Mr. Brown,
granddad
thank
did
you,
this.
thank you to the guys at Public Works for removing all those trees that came down last Friday. I know you guys worked very hard, so we really appreciate that. It's just nice knowing that we are living in a community where there's a concern for the residents that had trees and things. So thank the staff over there for me personally, because I know we were hitting Hawthorne Club a little bit. I'm not sure about the other areas, but appreciate it. And I know those residents appreciated it too. Thank you. hopefully nothing will happen tomorrow. Yeah, we can only hope.
Anybody else with any new business communication? All right, I had one item. I received an email from Dr. Nate Carter, who lives over off Westmoreland in the in the Old Grove area right over there. And his email, I went over and checked it out, and maybe we can approach this from a couple different standpoints. We have sidewalks on both sides of Westmoreland, all the way to the end where it finally reaches Old Grove. And then when you get into the Old Grove area, it's one side only, and it alternates. And apparently there is at least one Stevenson High School bus stop down in there that the kids have to walk around a curve, and as kids would be, if there's a sidewalk on one side and their house is on the other side, they're not going to cross the street to walk on the sidewalk. I mean, duh. It's what they should do, but they don't. And he said that he's seen a couple of problems down that way. That is the area where Westmoreland is kind of a snake. I mean, it curves a bunch. And at that time of morning, that's an extremely busy street. And what I was wondering is if we could look into two things. One, what it would take to add some sidewalk over there, especially where students might be walking. And the second thing is, until such time as we can do that, maybe connect with the bus company. Do you guys still run Stevenson, or yeah?
Yes.
So it would be First Student, whoever there runs the Stevenson routes, to maybe look at adding a stop or moving a stop so that they don't have to walk in the streets to get to that stop. Because he's right, it is a fairly dangerous situation.
Might have a hard time adding because all the schools are taking stops away.
Yeah, I know.
opposed to-
Yeah, I know, and I did bus routes for Hawthorne
I
for many
know.
years, and I don't like adding stops, but this is one where there really is a true safety issue.
Well, with all of District 23, there's no sidewalks in most of their areas.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so if we could look
having
into
said that, certainly get a hold of them and find out. I'll give you the number.
We'll take a look at that and report back.
So it's in the area around Westmoreland and Thornridge Lane down in there. Okay?
Sounds
Right,
good.
thank you. Anything else? Are we going into closed session this evening?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. All right, then we have nothing from
I'm not.
committee that needs to be coming back tonight? No?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the board and go to committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustees Marport,
Aye?
Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, I'd like to call the committee of the whole to order. First item is approval of committee whole minutes of August 19th, 2014.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments, questions, corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Marport.
Aye.
Motion carries. Second item, Vernon Hills Park District request to amend building lease for Laschen Community Center.
Thank you, Your Honor. Representatives are here from the Park District tonight with regards to this. As you know, we entered into an agreement with the Park District in 2002 for a building lease that allowed the Park District to become tenants in the Laschen Community Center. The agreement with the district is set up for a 99-year period, and as a part of that agreement, it called for the district to provide 3 designated rooms to be made available to the public free of charge. These were resident associations or other village-based groups that met certain criteria as established by the district. District's come back now with a letter, as you've seen, requesting the ability to charge an hourly rental fee in association with primarily the homeowners association groups that use the center. They're proposing $20 for the first hour of rental and $35 for the additional hours thereafter. Again, they would not charge for Boy and Girl Scout programs and the like. Their hope, obviously, is to recoup some of the ongoing maintenance and manpower costs associated with operating the center and the specific rooms. I guess with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff Fujiru, who's the executive director of the Park District, and he can answer any questions or discuss the request in more detail.
Well, good evening, thank you. I didn't know you guys hired Barry White to be your new village manager. Hope you're feeling better, John.
Thank you.
I think, John, just with me, Tom Bodkin. Tom is our lead custodian over at the Laschen Community Center, and really is the gentleman that has the responsibility of keeping the task with keeping Laschen Center looking as coiffed as it is when you enter the facility. He takes a lot of pride in making sure that all of our customers are greeted properly if you ever have a chance to be in our building. Anybody who uses the building speaks very highly of Tom and his just his work ethic. So I wanted to make sure he was here tonight in case any of the board had any specific questions that maybe I couldn't answer. But what's really transpired mainly over the last 2+ years is we're seeing over 200 visits a year with our HOAs, and many of them exceed the time frame that they prescribe to. In other words, Tom, who handles the rentals, will get a phone call that we want to use the room from 7 to 9 p.m., and more often than not, that gets into 9:30. Last evening, we had a group there till 10:30. And he doesn't take the obligatory heave-ho. He lets people, get through their meetings and whatever the business is at hand. But what our position is as a district is we have to pay his salary. And so when Tom sets his schedule based on a rental that's there or supposed to be out by 9 p.m., his 8-hour shift is a 1 to 9 p.m., and that's pretty regularly. But what we're finding is many of these go beyond the 9 o'clock hour, and then we're paying overtime. So we feel the proposal that we have before you is one that is fair and equitable in terms of our cost to continue to operate the facility. We are not looking to put any emphasis on some of the youth groups that use it, the scouts that are there monthly, our SRA, which is a part of our park district that uses it regularly for programming. So we just ask for your support, and is this gonna it's gonna hopefully cover just that additional cost that we're finding. It's a lot of use. It's a lot of groups. I mean, just last night, Tom was telling me a group that I'll remain nameless that just showed up and just said, yeah, we just want to use a room to meet. Didn't call, and this happens not frequently, but enough, and they just need the courtesy to call us, and basically every room in the building was full. So Tom politely told them, we don't have any room available, went about his chores up on the second floor, came back down, they went and snuck in a little kids' corner room and held their meeting. So, it's just that kind of, now that doesn't happen often, but those are the kinds of things that he has to face. And, the agreement says 3 rooms are dedicated. Trust me, we're using 5, 6 rooms. Many nights there's multiple HOAs in there that are using these rooms, and we just feel that it's something we'd like to
your comments
amend our agreement.
Work well with what I was going to suggest. In researching this, I talked to one of the homeowner association presidents that I know extremely well. And she said that she understood the whole situation and agreed with it. One of her comments was that what if it was like 20 or 25 for the first $20 for the first hour and a half? Because she said most of their meetings and most of the people she knows, they generally run about an hour and a half. And since your concern is the people that run long, could we maybe keep it low on the front end and put the higher amounts on the back end after an hour and a half? Because that was going to be my suggestion, would to see if you would go along with 20 or so for the first hour and a half, and then, the 25 or 30 or whatever, 35 for the every hour beyond the hour and a half, because I understand where you're coming from on that.
Look, Tom, we're going from 0 to anything at this point. So,
well, she said she was very willing to pay some money up front because she appreciates the fact that they've had the free,
We tried
was
initially.
worried though about the hour because she said with them, and she even went back and looked at some of their minutes and stuff like that, and they run an hour and 20, because she runs a pretty good meeting. And it sounds like one of your problems is the people who don't get that point and tend to run a longer meeting.
Yeah, initially, the proposal that I sent to John was trying to mirror what we do at Sullivan Center, and that's the $35 an hour. And we have, I think, one or two associations that do rent, and mostly because of the proximity and the location, so you can figure that out in Sullivan, and they have no problem to it. You know, it's most of the associations meet monthly. We do have some that meet quarterly, so we don't feel the fee, if you will, is excessive. But again, we're open. We're just trying to cover costs here.
I have a couple more board comments. Trustee Williams.
I'm sorry, did you say 35 for the first hour? Is that what you
No,
were
20 for the first hour, and then 35 thereafter.
I'm kind of wavering both ways. I would like to look at, like Tom said, charging more up front for the first hour and a half, and then an additional amount afterward, like possibly $25 for the first hour and a half, and $30 for every hour thereafter. I think two things would happen. It's going to make people think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if they are going longer, you're going to get more money for it. But then I would put a 10 o'clock deadline. They have to be out on it also. That's just, yeah, come on. Any meeting specific meeting for a specific purpose goes on longer than 2 hours, you lose people. So, you know, it's one thing if you're discussing a lot of subjects, different subjects, but one if it's a homeowners association, we know pretty much what's going on. That would be my suggestion.
Trustee Schultz.
Yeah, it sounds like you're trying to curb the misuse of the rooms. So the fact that you would charge a certain amount for a typical meeting of an hour and a half, and then maybe a lot more for them to stay longer, they will think twice about staying longer, and then that puts you not, you know, being there overtime, and then you know, they'll want to leave because they're not going to want to be charged that higher rate to stay longer and just keep yakking. But how do you then get paid when they're done and over with at the end of the meeting? Do you send them a bill, or how does that work?
Sure.
Well, what we had done at our other facility basically is we have it set up so that first we take a deposit of about $200, and we hold that deposit for the year. And if they go overtime, then we charge it against that. And the bills are sent directly to each of the management companies. So the management company then can submit, if they're there an hour and a half and we have a flat rate for an hour and a half, they would send us the $20 or whatever. Like I say, at the end of the year, we'll look at the thing, and if there's penalties or whatever, we would deduct those from the $200 deposit. And then at the end of the year, we would refund whatever's left there. If we haven't had any situations, then they would get their full $200 back.
Trustee, or does that answer your question? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Schultz.
The basic rent that you're being charged for the building, is it a favorable, in other words, to other space that you'd rent? I'm assuming it is, right? And that's why we put that caveat on there?
The rent that we charge.
For the Laschen, that we are charging you for the Laschen Center.
$1 a year.
Yeah, it's pretty doggone favorable.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
but we're
you
also
have to
responsible
maintain
for everything that.
Right, and maintenance on that building
Yes.
is an issue that we'll have more discussion about as the year goes on, or years go on, or whatever, or maybe as the days go on, if it floods and floats away. But, so I guess it wasn't really a big deal when we first started asking you to provide this service to a limited number of groups. But you're saying that you're booking about 200 meetings a year, at least? Is it 200? Is it 300? Is it?
It's slightly over 200. It works like this. There were, what I do, I book the rooms.
Right.
So a typical homeowners association will call me and they'll email me, and we'll email them a form that they'll fill out for the requested rooms. As Jeff pointed out, they usually run anywhere from 4 to 12 times a year. Some will do it every 3 months, some will do it every month. In addition, we will have what we call special meetings, where a board might meet tonight and they can't resolve issues, or if they have a number of complaints that they have to address, that they need to talk to maybe their attorney or somebody else, they'll come back to me and say, we'd like to have a room next week for a follow-up meeting. So we average probably 2 to 3 of those follow-up meetings every month. So adding that would be about 30 more meetings to the 172 that are scheduled, which puts us just slightly over 200 meetings a year.
So about 1 meeting a day,
That's-
basically, figuring there's 250.
Well,
what,
it
60
comes a little
days.
higher than that because you have to remember, we're not open late on Friday. We're open in evenings Monday through Thursday. So if you take Friday out, we're almost at 2 meetings per night.
Okay.
This evening, as we speak, there's 1 meeting going on next door. Last night, we had 2, plus the people who, I'll use the phrase, snuck in. So there were 3 homeowners meetings last night, but it averages about 2 per night. Now, to give you an idea what else goes on in our building, as Jeff pointed out.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you have a $200 deposit from that organization that snuck in?
We have nothing.
No, currently, there's nothing in
Do
place,
you know who
Jim.
they are?
I'm sorry?
Do you know who they were?
Are,
Oh, of
are you
course.
going to bill them?
Bill.
Do you have?
We
some-
don't charge them right now. They
Well,
get
right
it
now,
for free.
right now, it's all no
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I've-
Oh, no. They're not following the rules, so you don't have to
They're
follow
not
the rules
charging
on them either. You charge them for it.
Well, that's, I was polite. I told them they did not follow the rules, and I I asked them in a nice way to please never do it again, but you have to understand, I didn't even know they snuck in the room. When they were leaving, I caught them.
Right.
And I said, what were you doing in that room? And they said, well, we were conducting our homeowners association meeting. And I said to the manager, I offered you a room for Thursday night and asked you in a nice way if you would like to reserve a room. And you told me you had to talk it over with your board, but I had no knowledge that they were actually here in the building and that you were doing this.
No.
Now, your regular hours or the custodian in charge is till 9 p.m.?
Well, I create my own hours because we have to have a certain amount of flexibility.
Right.
Homeowners associations run over for 2 main reasons. Sometimes it's because there's a lot of complaints in which the board tries to address them and handle them in the meeting. Other times, I hate to say it, but they tend to socialize. The business is over and I'll come by and I'll see people laughing and talking and having a good time, and they should have been out of the building. So what do you do? I mean, all I can do is say, is your meeting over? Are you folks ready to leave? The situation last night, the meeting was supposed to run, they booked until 8:45. At 9:30, I walked into the room and I said, are you folks ready to leave? And they said, give us 5 minutes. At 10:30, they left. That was their idea of 5 minutes.
Well, I guess I concur to a certain level that you probably need to get some level of compensation. But I'd almost like to, give that from 6 to 8 for very little cost, because that was part of the intent, was to provide this amenity and keep, just provide that as a general amenity to the community. But I concur wholeheartedly that after 8 p.m., and especially after 9 p.m., there should be something that's extremely punitive. So, I would go 0 till 8, but then $35 for the first hour and $50 for the next hour.
Trustee Williams?
I can appreciate what you're saying, and I certainly felt that way at the time. However, It's one thing to provide an amenity and another thing when you're being taken advantage of. And that's what's happening with that building. Not just of us, but of the Park District, and that's not right. Not a lot of people in town use it, as has just been stated. It's basically homeowners associations. And I live in a multifamily unit, and I'm sure it was my association that ran over last night. I'm sorry to tell you that, but I know what was going on last night, and I did not stay, I left, so I'm sure it was them. Having said that, I'd like to make a motion that the first hour and a half, we charge $25, and every hour thereafter, a minimum of $30. If they go beyond 10 o'clock, you should charge them $40. There's no reason for you to have to
Just
stay there
a
after
flat
10
fee
o'clock
for the
at night.
$40?
If they, no, in addition to the hourly charge.
In
They go
addition
past
to-
10 o'clock, they get
It's a
smacked with another
$40
40.
fine.
Exactly.
I'm on board.
Thank you, that's a motion.
So that's a motion.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from
From Jeff or Tom.
board? Well, I was going to go to them after I went to board.
Wait, the $25 was for how long?
The
For an
first
hour
hour
and
and
a
a
half.
half,
First hour and a half.
and then
Yeah,
30
what we'll
for
find
each hour
is
thereafter.
95% of renters begin at 7 PM. Very infrequently,
Yeah.
Jim, that they can get there for a 6 PM start.
Yeah.
So many of them book from 7 to 9 PM.
Okay.
And so what I'm hearing is just,
No, that's increments.
look,
If
again,
you go
we
from-
came here with nothing, and I think with anything that we can try to recoup to, just to cover some of our operating costs, is
Let
good.
me check, because I think, was that the issue, ladies, was that the issue that you were here for, this one, or?
No,
same-
they're for the circle.
For the circus? Oh, okay. Just wanted to check and make sure.
So we're looking at a 90-minute period at $25,
Right,
and then anything beyond 90 minutes would go to 30.
30
And
an
anything
hour
beyond
and
10,
increments thereof,
If you want to
obviously.
propose
Yeah.
40. Yeah.
It's a half an hour, it's an additional 15,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
Seeing as how you want to be out of there no later than,
10 o'clock.
Our building, we're going to be proposing to close at 9 PM anyways,
Oh,
be
good.
consistent with our other centers. So probably January 1, we're going to be closing by 9 PM.
It should
We're
be
going to put that
punitive
proposal
after
before the board.
Yeah, but.
Because
I
it
guess
is just,
30 is
yeah.
already
So-
voted,
might I,
You want to back it up to 9?
yeah, and
But, again,
Well, 9
that
o'clock would
doesn't
already be
mean
the
people,
$30 an hour.
it doesn't mean Tom's going to kick people out. So if somebody's in the building at 9:15 or 9:30 because their meeting's continuing, we're not going to just kick them out. He's going to stick around and make sure that everybody gets out.
But if their meetings start at 7, they got an hour and a half till 8:30, they stayed an extra half hour till 9, you could just charge a punitive amount. Anything after 9 o'clock will be at this rate for the next hour.
or make it.
That's what he's saying,
Yeah.
just back up the $40 to 9 o'clock, is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
or $30 for the first 2 hours, and then $40 for the next hour.
That would be the punitive.
Right,
That would be the punitive.
So 30 for the first 2,
yeah,
and then 40 beyond that?
yeah. And if
Okay.
it's after 10, it's an
If we
automatic
can
40,
forward, I'll come.
and the cops will be called at
No,
10:01.
Oh,
After 9.
10. What, after 9, it's
March
40.
After 9, it's 40,
It's
and
a
after
flat rate of
10,
40.
what if they don't get out? I mean, we want them out by 9, which is why we're giving this one flat rate.
Well, anything beyond 10 then would be another 40, and it'd be not non-incremental.
Right, it's the full
Right.
amount.
Well, yeah, I don't think it
So
should.
10:05 is 40.
10:05 is 40, 9 incremental.
It's rare, it is rare beyond 10, I'll be quite honest with you.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Typically, it's probably 9:30.
Yeah, usually if they book till 9, then sometimes, it's 9:30, 9:45 occasionally, sometimes 9:15.
So
In
is it
some
25 or
instances, you have people leave a little bit early.
All right.
So is it
25.
25 or
Well,
30 for the
Village
first 2
manager,
hours?
what did,
24.
I have
What did
the
say?
first 2 hours, $30.
30.
That would be basically 7 to 9. And then beyond 9 o'clock is the $40 punitive. So if you're there 15 minutes or 45 minutes, you're
You're
coughing
paid.
up an extra 40.
Yes.
Yep.
And the motion would have to be amended, and the motion would be to direct the staff to amend the building lease agreement to come back with this amount.
Okay.
So made. Well, no,
Well,
I'm
we-
sorry.
yeah,
She-
Yes,
Mr.
I
First,
agree.
agree with the amendment?
I agree.
Okay.
And if
Second
I just,
agrees.
I think one of the caveats is we would not put this in effect until January 1st.
Well, 'cause
Because
the-
most of these HOAs have their budget,
Right.
through the calendar year, and we don't want to impact something that they're not aware. So we would make that notification. And I
But
could,
get that
I could
Except
work
for the
with
one
them.
that
as soon as
doesn't.
possible,
As soon as I get
The
correspondence
duties.
from your village manager, we'll proceed.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that are sneaking in,
Yeah,
you
can
should
charge
find them.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other
Oh,
comments or
yeah,
questions?
what about if they're not scheduled,
Oh, they
it's
get
$40 an hour? No,
Well,
we'll go 35.
Do you want
That's-
to let them work on that operationally?
Yeah, let them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Handle that, yeah.
I just said
Okay.
charge them,
All right.
whatever.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think
Can
you'd
I
find
just
very
make
many
two
more
real
town for
quick
$30 an hour.
points of just, this Saturday, we're going to be taking our park staff and we're going to be cleaning out our old park maintenance facility so that we can make accommodations. I know that we've scheduled for the police department to relocate. So, Mark, please offer up any of your officers if they want to come by and help out. We'll begin at 7 a.m. We'll be there.
No, you will not do that. There's too many other things riding on that.
This is Jeff.
But the second thing, and I just wanted to point out for anybody in the community, beginning on Friday out at Little Bear Lake and some of Big Bear Lake is a national regatta competition. So if you've seen the remote-controlled sailboats, it's really a unique event, and we've got teams and individuals coming from all across the country, and it's a week-long competition. So it begins this Friday, the 12th, and it goes through. So if you've got time during the week and you want to just bring your kids, grandkids, anybody, I think it's just a really cool event to just witness.
What are the hours?
So they're gonna be out there at all hours of the day, Jim. So most of these, Saturday, they'll be out there in the weekend. Most of them begin 8 to 9 a.m. and they'll go, but they set up really interesting obstacle courses in the lake. By the way, we just installed our new fountain in Little Bear Lake today. So the 3 fountains that existed are no longer. We put a very large fountain in.
It is a very large, it's.
Yes,
probably-
it sprays 32 feet and has quite a good width, so, yeah. And it's illuminated, so it should, and it is a Cadillac version, unlike the others that we all kind of bore witness to over the years, so, nice feature. Okay, thank you all very much for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
next item is the request from Cirque Italia to operate an outdoor special event at Westfield Hawthorn Mall.
Thank you, Mr. President. The event includes a show of circus art performances such as aerial acts, balancing, contortionists, hula hoops, and similar acts. The event would take place from Friday, October 10th until Sunday, October 12th. There'd be one show on Friday at 7:30 p.m., 3 shows on Saturday, 2:30, 5:30, and 8:30 p.m., and then finally 2 shows on Sunday, 2:30 and 5:30 p.m. The acts include a stage that holds 35,000 gallons of water, which is used to provide water features that are interactive with the performances. The stage and acts would be conducted under 2 tents. One is 48 by 63 feet, and the other is 110 feet round. These tents would be located adjacent to each other on the east side of the mall in the Sears parking lot adjacent to Milwaukee Avenue. Customer parking would be provided to the north, which I think is for RV parking, and then also to the west for vehicular parking. There'd be a 4x8 banner that would be located at the intersection of Milwaukee Avenue and the access drive to the mall. For clarification, there'd be no animals involved with this show. And there would also be food and non-alcoholic beverages that would be provided. Cirque Italia is aware that they would need a permit from Lake County Health Department for this. The special event application, along with photos and a site plan, are attached to your packet. And if the COW feels that the temporary use is appropriate, staff should be directed to prepare a resolution approving the special events subject to the conditions that are outlined in your packet. And Shantae is here to answer any questions that you may have regarding this.
Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening. Shantae with Cirque Italia. I'm the COO. Did you all have any questions?
Nothing.
The board have any questions on this? Was this the subject? I'm still trying to find out what subject this.
What do we need to do?
If the board feels the special event's appropriate, then a motion directing staff to prepare a resolution approving the event, subject to the conditions outlined in your packet, it would be appropriate.
So move.
Second.
Okay, since we're getting near the end, I just wanted to double check with the two ladies in the audience. What was the subject you wanted to?
Supposed to be on the agenda to address the board regarding nuisance skunks.
Oh,
talked about
yeah, Chief talked about the skunks earlier tonight.
Well, I need to address the board, please.
Okay,
We'll let her talk.
yeah, we'll let you do that after we get through the next two items then. Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second to direct staff to prepare the necessary ordinance. Any other comments or questions?
Roll call.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Trustees Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
I would just like to let the public, though, know that we we're very family friendly, so the ticket prices are very affordable compared to your Cirque du Soleil or typical events. They range from $20 to $50, and we offer nice packages for families. So if you buy an adult ticket, we allow one child in free, 12 and under. So very friendly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Major Crime Task Force, temporary housing, Chief?
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem and members of the board. Here tonight with kind of an unusual request, looking for assistance to find temporary housing for the Lake County Major Crime Task Force. Currently, the Major Crime Task Force is housed in the Sheriff's Building in the county offices down in Waukegan, but due to space shortages in the building, they're going to be reclaiming that area, the county is, reclaiming the area that currently houses the task force, and they're going to be renovating it because their needs have grown. So the task force is looking for permanent housing. They believe they have worked out an agreement with the College of Lake County. I don't want to get into the details of their agreement with them, but I believe they're going to have a permanent solution worked out with the county where they're going to be housed up in Grays Lake. During the construction period, which is expected to take about 12 to 18 months, they're looking for some place they can call home. Now, you have to understand that when the Major Crime Task Force is on a call-out, the host agency or the agencies that are requesting their assistance provides them with all the office space and all the conference room space and logistics and support that they need. In addition, all the members of the task force have iPads and laptop computers, and all the reporting is done remotely and sent into the Major Crime Task Force office. What they're actually seeking is a place where, when they need to have an all-hands-on meeting where the investigators need to get together to talk about either personnel decisions, interview prospective task force members, or just set their strategic plan or the planning for the next couple of months or their training schedules, they need a place to get together and get together and talk. They also need a place to store secure files, secure file storage. We had talked with the village manager regarding this request. And he and I both met with the commander of the Major Crime Task Force, and we were looking at possibly using the space in the engineering section of the building, which was vacated, with the downsizing of village staff. Again, they don't need much, a couple of desks, some office space, and then they would have access to the engineering conference room over there to hold their meetings. This is not a place where they would bring prisoners. This is not a place where they would bring suspects. This would be very discreet. These gentlemen are non-uniformed officers. They're not like MEG officers. They're dressed in suits and ties, just like everybody else that comes into the building. It would be very discreet. And then, of course, I have to make it known that I am the chairman of the Major Crime Task Force, so this isn't quite a, they didn't come to me by accident. They knew that we had the space and we're looking for a temporary home. So John and I have discussed this. We've talked about it with Mike Atkinson and got his consent on this. We want to bring it to the board for a discussion, for your input or your direction, comments, concerns on how this might play out. And I did include in your packet, a 2-page memo that covers most of the salient details.
Trustee Schultz.
So when they do arrive, they'll be in unmarked cars?
Correct.
Okay.
There is the possibility that 1 or 2 of them may have a marked
Right,
car.
but we're not going to
No.
wind up with
No, no.
10 different
No.
marked cars.
And they will
people are gonna
park
be
across the
following
street.
What's going on at Village?
No, no. And they will park across the street by the golf course.
Okay, and then better, park in the back. The other thing is, why not the American Family Building?
It's actually overused right now.
Yeah.
We lease out the back to Midwest Engineering.
Right.
And then the front half is our communication center, and part of that is
Yeah, but you've got still that open space, are you going to use that?
that's when we do the construction of our building,
Right.
that's where everything is moving
So
into.
you think that
We're
that'll
moving,
start before?
oh, I sure hope so. I sure hope so. But that center room that you're talking about, there's going to be 4 watch commanders and 4 sergeants operating out of there, and the patrol shifts and investigations. It's going to be very tight.
Okay.
Trustee Hebda?
Are we going to do this for free, or are you going to look at some kind of rental cost or?
I would hope that we would do it for free, because there really won't be any cost or wear and tear on the building here. It's not that like they'd be in here every day, where it would incur additional costs on maintenance and cleaning and things like that.
What if they run over a 10 PM meeting? Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Listen, we have to come over and lock up the building anyway.
Okay, so, yeah, okay. And you said like 12 months to 8, like,
12 to 18 months is the time frame they gave us.
Trustee Williams?
When would they be starting to utilize the building?
I believe they're already packed up and out of the other building, and they're
Yeah.
carrying the stuff in the trunks of their cars right
Personally,
now.
I think it's a great use
Yeah, I
of
do.
wasted space right now that's
Yeah.
underused. I certainly don't have a problem with
I don't
it. I
either.
think it's a great idea. I don't know what you need from us to do that. Do we need a lease? Do we need an
Well,
agreement?
I think
do
what
we
we'd
need?
have to do is put together an agreement that would kind of spell out the operational parameters of the building.
Right.
Any costs associated with, modifications or internet access or, some things that they would have, we'd want them to pay for that. But I agree with Mark. I'm not,
Motion
it's great.
we don't
to
need it.
direct
Do you need-
staff to create the necessary,
Thank you.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was about to say.
Well, we really don't even
Do you need a
right now, do
motion
we?
to direct staff to do the preparation of that
Yes,
document?
please.
So move.
Second.
I'm sure they've got some kind of agreement already, or if they've got something that we won't have to draft up, so.
I'm sure they have something with the county. And, in regards to like Wi-Fi, they come in with their own hotspots. They have their own wireless they're a self-supporting group because they go from town to town to town to town, have to set up shop in a matter of minutes. Thank you very much.
So we have a motion, a second. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, a roll call?
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
Schwartz?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Hebda?
aye.
Motion carries.
This,
Okay.
this actually may give us the ability to try out using that section, and it may lay the groundwork for future use of it by the public at some point. So it'll be interesting to see how this ultimately works through with our staff, so.
Okay. Ladies, sorry we made you stay so long when we hit that
Well-
earlier, so if,
Just one quick point. Thank God for the internet. My question was answered. The value of the property of Brook Hill, the current estimated value of the land is $106,000.
Really?
That's what I thought it would be.
Very good.
okay.
Okay, ladies.
Sorry we made you stay so long. We actually hit that earlier.
My name is Betsy Zakari. I live on Abilene Lane in Deer Path subdivision. And I'm here to address the board and make you aware. Obviously, we've already talked about the skunk situation. But while I'm here, I went to the neighbors on Abilene Lane and those on Altoona only. We do have one that snuck in here from Alexandria. I don't know how that happened. But I want the board to read what the residents of at least our street has to say about the skunks. It's a major problem. It's not a small problem. It's a major nuisance. If you would go ahead and tell them some of the...
My name's Brenda Nishimoto, and I live at 223 Abilene, which is at the corner of Abilene and Altoona Court. Every night, I have skunks in my front yard. And I have a puppy, 11 months old, and I've actually been chased by the skunks with my puppy to go back in my house. They'll be right outside my door. They'll be in the backyard, front yard. I even have a fenced-in yard where we have to walk the dog on the leash in the backyard because of the skunks. And so it's like clockwork every night that they're coming out earlier. The earliest has been 6:30.
6:15, I've seen them.
Yeah, and every night I deal with this, from starting at, she said 6:15, I've seen it 6:30. 7:15 is the usual time. Last week, my husband had to honk the horn to come in the house because the skunks were out.
The skunk was holding him at bay in his house. We've also had situation where the skunks have charged people. And, I'm not joking, it really does happen. Brenda is a good example. She's been charged by a skunk.
Yeah, I didn't know they could move as fast as they could.
As silly as it sounds, what she's saying is actually true.
Yeah,
We sent Lon down there to talk to some of the residents, and while he was watching, he saw a skunk run out and chase after someone who was walking their dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've run and
Never heard of that before in my life.
Chief,
Yeah, a lot of runners have the
Because
problem.
one of the main things we can do is put you in touch with Chief and the trapper we've got that would.
And actually, he has traps set there right now on Altoona and Abilene.
Yeah, and they came out late last week when I requested a spot to address the board. They were out there right away. But the problem, if you look at some of the statements, and basically what I asked for, it's not a checklist. It's tell us about your skunk problems, and everybody has a different way of saying the same thing. It's a major problem. And if you've caught 4 skunks, that's great. And since somebody came out last week, Officer Davies came out to see me.
Right.
We haven't seen the 2 skunks that are always in our yard since last Thursday. So one of them got
Somebody
squished.
told them.
I think one got
I hope they're one of the ones that are in the trap. But Brenda has another example of 2 she sees every night, including last night. The same 2 skunks.
Yes, my
We
husband
named them.
Named them.
I know it's not, it really isn't funny. My dog's been skunked 6 times. Once was enough, but it's worse. It seems to be worse this year, at least on our street, than it was last year.
It seems as though you've got a pretty good conduit to your neighbors.
I do now.
Remind them not to leave any foodstuffs
Okay.
for dogs, cats, whatever.
Anything.
Don't feed
Birds.
the feral cats, because the feral cats will never get to it. The skunks will eat it first. And all those good things about protecting, themselves as best as possible.
Absolutely.
With regards to decks, if you have one. I had skunks, and they trapped, 4 or 5. The guy was real happy when he got the possums, though, because he had supper.
Yeah, I have paid to have 3 possums trapped.
But I went and then I sealed my deck. I went way below and put in, 1x8s to
Sunk into the ground.
right, so that they couldn't. And it does work, but you have to be diligent. But really, the big thing is about the food sources. Make sure nobody is feeding feral animals, because the skunks are
Definitely.
the first ones
They're in there,
at the
yeah.
chow line.
You're doing everything to...
Absolutely. I know
We
our
are,
people
yes,
have been
they
over
are
there and
now,
talked to
yes.
them, and we have the traps set up. Like I said, though, there is some things that you can do, as
Right.
Trustee Schultz was mentioning. They're living somewhere.
Oh.
They're burrowing in somewhere, and the thing is, you have to find out where they're burrowing and close off those entrances. Usually it's under decks, under sheds, in wood piles, things that aren't normally moved, that don't have a lot of personal people contact.
Right.
And that we can't do for you.
I understand, yes, I understand. But it is affecting the quality of our life in a very big way.
We can't walk at night. We actually get boxed in by the skunks, so we have to go back home.
The early morning people that go to work early in the morning, they're kept at bay by skunks. So, and I know it's not just Abilene Lane, and it's not just Altoona, and it's not just Augusta Park. I mean, but for whatever reason, it appears to me that we've got a bigger problem than quote normal.
You know, not to digress, but I'm trying to remember what, it was on the PBS channel up north. It's the only thing I get. They were talking about getting a can of Raid because they shoot out 20, 30 feet.
But I think a skunk can shoot that far too, can't it?
Well, I don't know.
Right, all right. I'm not-
Yeah, I had biology on a Saturday morning on the south side of Chicago State. It was a long ride, and I don't remember much, but anyway, the bottom line is, though, that somebody was talking about using a can of Raid to scare off animals, and it blinded them.
They're not easily scared off
No,
anymore. They
no.
will make noise and holler at them.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave.
These neighbors'
Grubs too. is-
yards, and
It's
then
possible.
maybe,
They go to grub worms too.
Yeah.
And those are common
maybe,
right now.
yeah, whether you have a neighborhood meeting and say everybody needs to check their yards and look for these things and.
Fertilized, or not fertilized.
Yeah,
but
if there's grub worms in
one of
the yard,
grub
they're gonna
worms are
come.
there, so they should
Big
end up
time.
doing.
Right.
That's
Right, the
We
grubs.
had ours sprayed for the grubs, yeah.
All right, well, if Officer Fleischer, I hope I'm saying your name right, if he
Very
could
good,
get
actually.
all of those paperwork, it will, basically, most of what you're looking at says the same thing. We've got a major skunk problem. All right, well, that's all.
Thank
Do you have anything else you want to say?
And we're going to continue with the
Yeah.
trap.
Oh, we're going to continue. Now, we did run into one situation on Altoona where one of the traps that was set up, one of the neighbors went out and put chicken wire around the trap.
Why?
To keep
Kind
their
of
dog from going
Kind of defeated the
into it.
purpose of the
Because
trap
dog
because the
wasn't on a
skunk's not going to
leash.
go in there either. But we did talk to the resident and got that straightened out. And the trapper did offer to provide a discount to residents in the areas that we're working in so that we can work collectively, because we will not trap in your yards. We can only go on the common ground. But if we're in the private property in the common ground right of ways and you have some traps in your yard, eventually we'll get them.
Okay, thank you.
And can I, we can keep
You
these?
may keep those, yes.
Chief, you get the file. Because it gives you, yes.
Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole.
So made.
Second.
Motion a second. Roll call, please.
Trustees Marport?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye?
Schwartz?
Aye.
Williams? Hebda?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.